Monday's lesson, first paragraph. All through the Bible, we find evidence of God's foreknowledge, He knows beforehand all that will happen. Whether the rise and fall of world empires or individual actions just hours before they occur, assuredly I say unto you that this night before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times, Jesus speaking to Peter. The Lord knows the end from the beginning. His foreknowledge, even of our free choices, has no bearing whatsoever on the freedom of those choices. I think that's a great example of Jesus saying to Peter, before the cock crows, you'll deny me 3 times. It's a very precise, measurable statement of something before it happens that he knew. It's a great example of God having foreknowledge. Who made the choice? Did some compelling power come over Peter from God that for the next 12 hours of Peter's life, he's kind of robotically walking through because Jesus said it now, I'm required to do this, and his freedoms were taken away to fulfill the prophecy? Is this what happened? Or is Peter completely free? Who made the choice to deny him 3 times? Peter did. So this is a great example of God having foreknowledge. Yes, Linda.
But Jesus warned Peter and the others, but particularly Peter, that Satan has asked to sift you, and you need to be praying. And so he was warned ahead of time that he was under direct assault by Satan himself.
Yep. But that warning is different than the prediction of actual choices. I'm warning you. I could warn all of you. Satan is wanting to get all of you. He's sifting all of you. He wants everyone. I can make that warning. I think it's true, isn't it? Okay, but that's different than me saying, but I want you all to know by tomorrow morning you're going to throw your spatula at your husband 3 times. Okay, that's a quite different prediction, isn't it? Yeah, and actually having made it, I bet you would go home and say, get rid of all the spatulas. Jennings is not going to be right on this one.
Also gave Peter, I think, hope afterwards, because he realized that Jesus knew what he was going to do and told him, and when you turn, feed my sheep and so on, he realized that God loved him, though he even knew he was going to deny him like that.
So, examples of foreknowledge. Judas betraying him. The one who dips his hand in here is going to betray me. There's another example. The casting of lots for his clothing, predicted hundreds of years beforehand by David in the Psalms. They were going to take his clothes and cast lots for him. The crucifixion itself, that he would die via crucifixion on the tree rather than being stoned to death, which is what the law prescribed for blasphemy, and what they did to Stephen. They stoned Stephen under Roman rule. But they foreknew that they would choose the crucifixion route rather than the stoning route. Cyrus releasing the Jews to return to Jerusalem, building only 1 ark instead of a fleet, knowing there are only 8 people, as one would be sufficient. Many examples of God's foreknowledge. And then this quote out of Patriarchs and Prophets 43. He that rules in the heavens is the one who sees the end from the beginning, the one before whom the mysteries of the past and the future are alike outspread. I love that quote. God is the creator of all reality, including time. God is not subject to time. Time is subject to God. Everybody get your mind around that. Time answers to God. He can have the sun stand still. He can have a person in vision for hours not breathing. Somehow their physiology suspends itself in time in some way we can't figure. He controls time. He's not subject to time. He lives outside of our linear existence. We live in a linear existence. He doesn't live. He is an infinite being outside of what we call time. But some genuinely sincere people who love God and want to represent God in the best possible light have real difficulty with this truth. They just can't get their mind around it, and they can't understand how God can know the future and our future choices before we make them, and we're still free to make them. And the way they conceive of things, if that were to be true, in their mind, we're no longer free. God has programmed us. We're somehow predestined. And so they go down a trail that God knows all the possible choices. He's an infinite calculator. He can calculate all the possibilities. And so he knows under the realm of possibility, but not certainty. So that's why the Psalms read that one possibility is they may cast lots for your clothing. No, they actually don't read one possibility. They actually said they were going to do it. Or Jesus said to Peter, it is possible that you might deny me 3 times tonight. No, he didn't say it's possible. He said you're going to. These prophecies are never couched in possibilities and probabilities. Knowing the future is not causality. And that's what people confuse. Knowing the future doesn't cause it anymore. Get your mind around this. Remember the statement, to God, the past and the future are alike outspread? Any more than knowing the past is causality. When you read in Scripture that Moses took the rod and struck the rock, you know that history, that choice. Does your knowledge of that choice cause it? Knowing is not causing. Another way to comprehend this idea is that what informs God, who lives outside of time, of our future choices, what gives him that data, that information, is when we make that choice in the future. Our making the choice is what informs him that we made the choice. If we don't make that choice, he doesn't have that information, or he has the information we chose differently. Our choices are what inform him. He just lives in all points in time simultaneously. He's there with us in the future when we make the choice. But he's also here with us now. If you can get your mind around that instead. What would you say about God if God didn't live outside of time, if he was subject to time and didn't know any more about the future than we do?
Is this the openness of God theory?
Yes. Yeah, open theism.